And I'm here to introduce our vendor for this evening, Nick Masney from ITLA. Imagine that, laser art. Nick's an interesting guy, and we've been as manufacturers, we've been kind of friends, and we're not competitors, so we're in the same general area of the country, and we've cooperated on a couple of projects. So it's always great to have someone that you can work with when you're in a niche business like this. Nick had the typical introduction to model trains around Christmas time at an impressionable young age, and a few years later, the first train set came from the Sears Christmas catalog. In his early teens, RMC and Model Railroader magazines caused the scale model railroader focus to change. And he faded away during the formative years for sports and school and friends and cars and social life. And it doesn't say here, but probably girls. And Nick began a career with General Motors. He married to his ever understanding wife, Renee, home ownership, children, and the big layout, which was an HO scale Algoma Central Railway layout circa 1951. Moving into the manufacturing world in 2012, Nick purchased Imagine That Laser Art and rebranded it as ITLA Scale Models Incorporated. In 2019, he retired after 32 years with GM in automotive product and process engineering, program launch, and manufacturing leadership positions. Unfortunately, Nick missed the boat, which sailed off into the retirement sunset and stepped into ITLA full time. So now he's enjoying his lifelong appreciation of scale modeling, applying his automotive and engineering experience to producing laser cut wood kits with the invaluable support of Renee. Nick, it's over to you.
Jerry, thanks very much. I appreciate that. And yep, I'd rather be your friend than the alternative. So thanks very much for those kind words. Okay, so I'll go right, if I may share, I will go into my presentation. And as Jerry had mentioned, forgive me, I am a standard gauge modeler, so I apologize, but I do respect and appreciate the narrow gauge community. The skill level is outstanding, and honestly, it's something that I look towards to set the bar. And hopefully, as I go through my presentation tonight, you'll see some opportunities to enjoy some of the products that I offer into the narrow gauge community. We're ITLA Scale Models. Renee, my ever understanding wife and business partner, as Jerry mentioned, purchased the business back in 2012. It was a bit of a pre-retirement idea. It happened a little bit too early, but anyway, we managed to run the business and operate at General Motors at the same time. However, we're enjoying the ability to run 7 days a week in this industry now. So without any more explanation, if you look at this slide here, you'll see a couple of categories that appear on my webpage, and I would appreciate it if you'd go have a look at some point, itlascalemodels.com. And we produce a wide variety of laser engraved wood kits, and if you can tell by the photos I'm showing you there, you can see that there's really an old industrial city type theme that we focus on. Our materials represent masonry, steel, and concrete when painted using some basic techniques, and I'll touch on some of those a little bit later in the presentation. We use premium quality micro plywoods, MDF, laser board, and 3D printed in styrene materials also. And we offer kits in multiple scales. So, brick and wood structures, modular wall panels, detail kits, flat car decking, and even some elevated railway structure that you might find of interest a little bit later on. Well, a comment, or actually a tagline we use, configurable by design, is kind of a design theme that we continue to chase. And many of our structure kits are engineered to offer you the opportunity to build the model in a variety of different footprints and wall combinations. And some of those kits can be built in up to 15 different wall combinations, from a fully walled structure to shallow relief to background flat formats. We like to say they're kit bash capable by design. I also try to strive for an ease of assembly, precise fit and finish through the quality material use and tab and slot construction. And the honest goal is to try to give you a more efficient and satisfying build experience. And in all honesty, if you're happy and the model goes together well, and that to me is also reward. This is an example of what I mean by configurable. So this is our O-scale Olympia Tool and Die Company, and it is shown in 3 of its 15 possible wall combinations. So in the foreground of that photo, you'll see the building in its full-sided configuration. In the mid photo, you'll see a shallow relief, almost flat version of it, and then towards the rear, a shallow relief with a bump out in the center. And you could even stretch that rating, flatten that totally out to create an additional footprint. But the point being that all of those details and all of those walls are interchangeable, and you can therefore configure the model to fit the space that you have on your layout. We all love laser engraved and cut wood kits, at least I hope we do. I do. We use the premium quality wood products I mentioned previously, and the reason we do that is we want realistic matte surfaces, and they need to be durable, but yet they need to be easy to work with. Fine details and reliefs can be engraved into these surfaces, and you can see to the right, that's an MDF wall panel of mine with some spalling concrete and some rebar showing through. That's all laser engraved into the product. The wood material, very easy to cut and shape. You can use your number 11 X-Acto blade, you can use your razor saws and anything else you would normally work wood with. And it bonds together very well with many types of adhesives. So we primarily recommend a PVA wood glue like a Tight Bond 2 or a Weld Bond, but CA super glues will also work under certain conditions that you need a joint tightened up or what have you. The wood also provides a surface texture that we believe represents brick and masonry a little bit better than our plastic cousins. The matte paint that we would use on that surface will penetrate slightly, and that gives you a more realistic finish rather than just building up on top. And controlled penetration is the key here, allowing for color layering and translucency that you see in real life. And I'll touch again a little further into the presentation, but everything you're seeing in these photographs is really just a combination of rattle can spray paints, clear sealers, and some acrylic hand washes, and then some pigments, depending on your choice. And I did mention that the pigment use, but the wood also is an excellent surface for those pigments, chalks, and pastels. We talked design for configurability a couple pages ago, but this is another fine example of designing a model that is built to be configured. So this is the York Industries kit in HO scale, and again, it's shown in 3 of 12 configurations capable in this kit. So we've designed them so that they're modular in nature, and again, the walls can be interchanged. So therefore, you can place the features on those walls where you need them on your layout, whether it's an entry door or a dock door or some exhaust, whatever you have. You can mix and match wall panels and angles and put them where you need. Design for assembly is another theme that I chase. This comes from the auto industry, to be honest. We've separated some of the key structural components so that you don't have to mask them for painting. So window sills, window headers, cornice, pilasters, things such as that are separate components, and many by design so that you can paint them off the main walls and then bring them to the wall without worry of masking and bleed. We also manufacture a traditional style of Craftsman kit, but we incorporate modular assembly strategies. And this is the HO scale Grimsby station shown near Jerry's hometown. Matter of fact, it's Jerry's hometown. Unique turrets and eyebrow windows, etched plank platform, cabin slot construction make this model up a little bit easier to build, yet a little bit challenging. The turrets and the roofing around those turrets are a little bit of a challenge, but for people such as yourself, I would think you could probably do it in your sleep. Laser engraved shingles. That roof material is basically a laser board with some shingles that I've etched in. Now, many of you might want to add on your own shingles, but at least I provided you with some of those guidelines that you could easily glue on top of. Siding is board and batten. It's laser engraved. The decking, the planking, etc., is all laser engraved as well. So again, a modular strategy applied to something more of a craftsman kit. And then one of our most popular lines, and I know this may not appeal to the narrow gauge community so much, but for demonstration of the type of product we produce, these are there's three product lines here now, and I should say three scales: N scale, HO, and O scale. I call it a modular wall system because each of these vertical sections you see in that structure are all in a kit. And those kits can be basically tab and slotted together and chained and cut and stacked to create the wall sections that you would want to represent a specific structure with. So again, the wood construction for this style of a building is an advantage because it does represent concrete and masonry much better than our plastic friends do. It's easy to cut and modify with the razor saw, the number 11. No mask painting. The neat thing is all of these components, the windows, those brick inserts, and all that pilaster and trim work you see are all separate components which can be dealt with off the main model if you choose. So that, again, a nice and fresh, clean execution is possible. Finer scale representation, I believe, can be executed with the laser engraver, and we cut those materials for precision fit. So those those window frames are near scale sized. There are sashes that can be positioned open. I cut those so that they basically slightly friction fit inside that wall opening and hold themselves there for you to complete the assembly process. Scale sized, and the fire escapes and the exhaust fans and grills and junction boxes you see in that photograph are all components that we offer as well. We also produce many unique detail kits, and some of this might appeal to the narrow gauge modeler. So HVAC ducting kit, you saw a little bit of it in the back in the picture just behind us there. N scale, HO scale, S and O scales. These are all laser cut wood and laser board material kits that you can basically laminate, glue, and cut and fit to achieve a vertical or horizontal duct on top of a roof, up a wall, over the roof parapet, the wall parapet exactly. So anything like that is possible. Lower left loading dock interior kits available in all scales. And then we have our rooftop detail kits also available. And you can see the ensemble there with chimneys and the water tank and some HVAC and AC units available for you also. And just to touch on the elevated railway structure, I know this is about as far away from the narrow gauge community as you could get, but I just wanted to share with you some of the engineering behind this product line and some of what we can execute with the laser cutter and the materials that we use here. However, that top right station, you might note that could be used as a ground level passenger shelter as well. So there's some crossover perhaps with the narrow gauge community. The image on the left is basically two sections of our stock New York elevated, built end to end as you'd expect them to be. And then those same kits were used to create that Y junction down in the bottom right with a little bit of cutting and fitting. I might say a lot of cutting and fitting. But nevertheless, you're able to execute that kind of a construction with this material and with these products. So let's touch on a bit of the painting, as I spoke of a little earlier. So these paints that I'm showing you here on this slide are my go-tos, if you will. And it might seem a little bit boring because there's not a lot of colors here, but in all honesty, you can do a lot of stuff with what I've shown pictured here. So simple rattle can spray paints, and you can see the brand names there. So the camo colors are fantastic, great matte paint to use. Any of the honestly inexpensive automotive primers are fantastic. So the red primers are great for red brick. The blacks, the browns, anything you can get your hands on works well on this material. And then just your simple, your water-based acrylic paints to create washes with in various strengths. And you'll see how we'll use that here in a moment. And of course, pastels off to the lower right, which we'll use as a finishing touch for streaking and weathering, etc. this is a kind of, this picture kind of sums it all up. So, how would we, rattle can sounds frightening because you think you're going to get these blobs of paint coming out. Well, in reality, one of the secrets is to warm the can up a little bit. So what we'll do at times is we'll soak the rattle can in some warm water for about 15 minutes before we use it, and you'll get a better atomized mist of spray out of it. The second technique is that we don't flood the surface of the model. We want to just dust the paint on, and that in itself provides a texture as well that is very realistic. So if you look from the left to the right, you'll see a base progression from our raw wood MDF wall, spray painted a little bit of black on it just to kind of, because we envisioned that this wall would be a really dark and grimy kind of a brick. So we gave it a little bit of black, and then we started to pull some brick color into place with either in this case it was a red primer, and then thought perhaps we got to go back a little more red, hit it again, and then you can start to in the fifth or the right hand side of the picture. You can start to clear seal and wash with water-based acrylics, and you can do your mortar washes and all sorts of stuff. So that's a real basic representation of one way you can deal with the brick wall panels in our kits. And this is just another example. This is one of our sample paint walls that we provide, and sometimes when we have little offers and things. Now, the left-hand image is just your basically your two colors of paint. It's the Rust-Oleum or the camo or Krylon camo gray for concrete, and a red primer, automotive primer for the brick. And those are the only two colors that were used in that left-hand wall picture. And basically, it's pretty monotone, and and we need to do a little more with it. So in the second image from the left, you'll see me taking a sanding stick and bringing some of that monotone surface off, and kind of creating the variation that we want to drive into the wall. The third image from the left looks a little hacky, I must admit, but that's where you start to bring some of your brick tones into play. A little bit of a stronger application with those water-based acrylics. And again, you're kind of tricking the eye a little bit here. You're not necessarily going to touch every brick or have to touch every brick, but you're going to touch enough of them that convinces your eye that there's a lot of color variation on this brick wall. And on the rightmost image, that's where we start to wash those harder color bricks down to tone them down into the overall wall. And that's done again with the same colors, but with a greater 50-50 or so mixture water to acrylic. And if you look down on the brick, you can kind of, this is the fun part, you can kind of take some of that acrylic and drag it down through the mortar joints as rust streaks and those kind of things. So just wanted to quickly show you that. That's an example of how we can paint our brick walls. And not to forego the opportunity here too, but with raw wood and your gray acrylic, hand brushed acrylic, you can simply apply it directly to the wood product and get the color variations and tones you see in the upper right. So a gray acrylic was used on that middle set of ducts and then rusted with washes of raw umber and orange. And then the upper one was actually a silver acrylic and then dusted or rusted with washes of raw umber and orange. So two different base paints, but similar weathering technique, but two different results in the end. And then lower left, you can see another example of the AC units and ductwork that we would use on a rooftop kit. And lastly, primary coloring could also be done with powders. And a customer sent this to me, and I thought it was kind of unique, and I thought I'd share it. I don't know that I would have tried this myself, but at least with his evidence here, it does work. So you can color some of the material with a pigment powder, in this case black. So this is steel work from one of our N scale elevated kits, and just an example of how you could treat the product even a little bit differently. On the right, we start to use a little bit of pan pastel to put some grimy streaks underneath those windowsills, the eventual windowsill. And just to show you that, it's so easy to use these traditional powders, chalks, and pastels. on this laser cut product. So in summary, our kits feature ease of assembly, precise and repeatable fit, quality materials, and honestly strive for minimal parts cleanup. So easy to paint with techniques I've just mentioned to you. Tab and slot is what I try to drive into the product, and the goal is repeatability and a quality joint. And if that works, then I think you're satisfied with your build experience as well. Modular themed configurable assemblies, you fit the space you have, unique roof and wall details. You've seen a little bit of that, on the presentation already. Customer service and parts replacement. And this is something that I pride myself in, where our goal is for you to have an enjoyable build experience, and we want to provide you with a high value product and enable you to create a scale model that you're proud of. And if you break a part during normal handling, I'll replace that for no charge at all. And all I want to do is understand how it happened, because if I can correct that or engineer that problem out of the kit, then nobody else will be disappointed and have a broken part in their hands. So I'd like to work with the customers in that regard. Some other kits that, just to highlight of interest to the OTBT modeler, we have brick wall panels in HO and O scale, top left. And you can see how that, you can create your own structure using your individual wall panels. We have in lower left some wall detail kits. These are cut out of laser board. So we got some neat vents and fans and, junction boxes and security bars and things like that. Middle top there, we have a brick utility building, single story. Could be we use that on the ground as just basic building utility structure, or on the rooftop as an elevator head house or some sort of a roof access type building. And to the right of that is a two-story utility building. Could be an interlocking tower, could be some form of yard tower. Very simple, small brick constructed building. And then those duct kits I mentioned on the bottom. And again, to the left side, that's our Olympia tool and die kit. We actually have it in N scale, HO scale, and the O scale that you saw previous in the presentation. O scale is pictured right here. Rooftop mechanical bundle kits, again in 4 scales, and that's just a combination of a lot of neat little features from a few kits of ours. The dock interior, loading dock interior kits I mentioned earlier, and then fire escapes that you can see off to the right, and that's an O scale model pictured there. And lastly, coming soon, hopefully very soon, we're working on an HO city and alleyscape kit. And this is to be a fine scale downtown cityscape, 16 20-foot wide buildings, 2-3-story structures. This is the stuff you'll see all over North America. And I'm thinking this might also appeal to the narrow gauge community. You probably had obviously small little downtown areas like this to model. And these will have laser engraved masonry detail on all 4 walls. So my intent is to offer them as basically a 5-building set that you see there. And all the walls would have details. You can mix and match those buildings down the street as you wish. You could separate them and drive alleyways between them. They're interchangeable in terms of surface details. So a lot of the storefront details and interior sections that'll come with them are interchangeable. The doorways will either be center or offset and are also interchangeable. And the neat thing is we partnered with a company called Focus Creative Studio. Jason Reeves is his name, and fantastic 3D modeler. He is an architect by trade. And he's working with us on architectural facade features for these structures, and also some roof and ground level details and piping and HVAC stuff like that will accompany these. And the neat thing to note about this product line, and this could be of interest to you, to this group, structures will be able to be cut into 1.5 or 3-inch shallow reliefs. So you'll be able to cut the kit so that you could use the fronts as a shallow relief streetscape, and you could take the rears and either swing them around or use them elsewhere as an alleyscape. And I think that's going to offer a lot of opportunity for the modeling community out there. And lower right, there'll be an Amherst Hotel, and there'll be a story around that. Eventually, that was a family business that was started by my grandfather in 1949 in Amherstburg, Ontario. And it was kind of a iconic place at that time, and it's kind of one of the things I've always wanted to do is represent that in scale models. So we'll be able to show that off in January. Okay, so I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to listen to me, and hope I didn't bore everybody. Please visit our website and sign up for our newsletter. ITLAscalemodels.com is the website. We're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And then, as you know, my little thanks to you, a limited time offer. If you make a purchase, contact me through my website email contact and reference OTBT, and I'd be happy to send you a free paint test wall kit, the one that we were showing earlier in the presentation, and a scale specific wall details set. So if you're into, NHOS or O scale, I can offer you that as well. So thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Nick. Got a couple of comments from people. One question from Reiner. How thick are your building walls?
We used an 1/8 inch or 3 millimeter thick MDF.
Okay. Phil is comments. I always appreciate when vendors identify what building styles and building attachments are appropriate for a given era. For example, AC units are not appropriate for 1910. One of the things, a comment I wanted to make on your new thing that you're working on with the alley and you can
Yes.
use both the front and the back. I was thinking of Durango, and the main line going into Durango Yard is behind all the buildings that are on Main Street in Durango. And the backs of those buildings, if you're modeling Durango, that's perfect, right? It's exactly what you need.
Yeah, excellent.
Scott says, great presentation. New city and alleyscape structures have a lot of kit bashing potentials for those modeling places like Durango and Salida, etc. And Steve Hollenbach says, great presentation. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick.